Hello everyone, my name is Thomas, and today in this video we're going to be talking about the text tool in Adobe Illustrator. Now, if you watched our videos on the text tool in Adobe Photoshop, this is going to be a near identical experience, but for those who haven't, here we go. So the text tool can be found in our toolbar. It's the one with the letter T on the top. And what you'll do is you'll click it, and then you'll click and drag in your document. And then when you let go, you'll see that you'll be greeted by this text. This is just filler text. You can delete it as soon as you begin. And this just works like any other Word document. You know, you can say, hello, my name is Thomas. Today in this video, we're going to be talking about the text tool in Adobe Illustrator. So now that we have our text, we'll highlight it either by clicking and dragging over the top, or you can hit Control A to select all the text. Now in the bottom right, you'll see that there is a character sort of drop-down card. What we'll do is we'll scroll down. This is in our properties window. So what we can do is we can scroll down, and you'll see that we have our font, font type, font size, and a few other settings that we'll get into. We also have our paragraph settings. So to start, you know the general gist of things with our font type. Here we have all of the fonts, as well as a display of what it'll look like. So if we want a Courier New, this is one for use for scripts. You can see that we can select it, and it'll be converted. Right now, it's a bit small, so what we can do is we can bump up the size either by clicking or highlighting, say 30. Here we have our font style. You can make it italic, bold, bold italic. Each font will have its own set of font styles. Some may have styles such as bold or italics. Some might not. Some might have none. It just depends on the font. Here we have our leading. What leading is the space between lines. So if we bump this up, you'll see that the lines between the texts start to increase. Bring that back down to 30. Here we have our kerning. What kerning is the space between two characters. So let's say we have the B and E in B. Say we want that to be a bit bigger. What we can do is we can put our cursor and click between the letters. And what we can do is we can set our kerning to be any one of these or your own custom one. Now just to note that the difference between the values is very small. For instance, something like this is only really going to be noticeable at, even at 10, that'll only move just a little bit. If you keep your eyes on it, switch it back a few times. If I put it at 200, that's not even the space of like one extra character if I were to say put another letter in there. So let it be known that the spacing is very small between these. The next one we have is tracking. And what tracking is the space between the letters in a word. So if I start bumping this up, you can see it's slowly starting to grow. If I put this up at 100, now we can start seeing a difference compared to something like 0. Below that is the paragraph settings. These are your alignment tools. So if we select all of our text, right now it's left aligned, but we can also do center and right aligned. And then we can also have our justified. Now the difference between justified and these normal ones is that, as you can see on the normal ones, on the right side, it doesn't really matter how far it goes. You can see that some lines will be longer than others, but in justified, the paragraph takes up the entire space from left to right, and they'll do that by spacing out the characters and words in funny ways. So you'll see that you follow the line down, and it takes up all the space from on the left side and all the space on the right side. The difference between all these is that the last line will sometimes be aligned to the left, the center, or the right, or all lines will be justified the same way. You can see that if I justify that last line, Tor in Illustrator takes up the entire space, which looks absolutely awful, but it's there if you have a few more words in that line. So we can align it to the left, which I think looks the best. Right and center kind of looks just funny if you just have one word, but you'll find something that works for yourself. Other things you'll find is the appearance. So here we have our same settings for the color tools. So we have our fill. Again, you can change it to whatever you want. You can even pick your own color if these swatches aren't for you. So you can pick your own colors. Say we want it in, we'll go with orange. I like orange. So we'll make it even extra orangey. So that's very orange. For the next one, I'm actually going to change the font to give it something impact, just to really make it clear. We're going to change our stroke. So that way there's a black stroke. You have to make sure you have everything selected first. Right, now we have a black stroke around our letters. And here we can also change our stroke size. And opacity just changes how much you can see. Again, you have to have everything selected to see anything. Down in the bottom right of the character tool, you'll see these three dots, which is more options. And here you'll find some extra settings that you may or may not need. So at the top here, we have our same settings. Font size, leading, kerning, tracking. We also have some other ones. Here we can change the vertical scale of some characters, or all the characters I should say. Same here, but except horizontally. So these characters are not getting bigger, but rather just wider. Here we have our baseline shift, and what this does is it takes the lines that the characters are written on and just raises them or lowers them. Think of it as an offset. So you know, the characters aren't going anywhere, the character spacing isn't changing, it's just they're going up or down. Here we have the character rotation. We can slightly turn the characters so that way they face a different direction. This will change the spacing on some of them, or rather all of them. And we can just have fun with that. We'll put that back to 0. Here we have some extra settings that we can use. This tool makes all characters capitalized, so now all the characters are capitalized. This one makes all characters capitalizes, but keeps the difference in size between uppercase and lowercase. So there we have it. This one allows you to write superscripts, and this one allows you to write subscripts. For instance, if you have like 2 to the 2nd power, this is how you'd write it. So I'll demonstrate. We have 2, and if we open our options, actually we'll just, so if we have 2, 2, what we can do is we can highlight the second 2. We can go up to our superscript and click it, and now it has been raised and kind of shrunk, so that way it says 2 to the 2nd power, 2 squared. The same thing works for like chemical formulas for subscripts. So if we have you need to disable superscripts. So if we have N2O, what we can do is if we want this as a subscript, we can hit the subscript button, and now we'll have a more accurate word or chemical formula. The next option is the underline and slash through, or strike through I should say. These are pretty self-explanatory. These allows you to underline. You can see that an underline was added, and this one you can have it strike through, and you can have these on at the same time if you want. So we have a strike through and an underline. But that'll do it for this video and the beginner series for the Adobe Illustrator tutorial guide. In the next video, we'll be doing a live demo featuring all of the tools that we've learned up to this point and putting all that information into context. But until then, I'll see you in the next video. You have a good one.